Welcome back to Barn and Soul, the podcast where we explore the heart, history, and deeper meaning behind life on the farm. I'm your host, Kendall, and today we're tackling a subject that doesn't get nearly enough attention, but will affect every single one of us, if not already, whether we realize it or not. Farm animal extinction isn't something we hear about too often. When people think about endangered species, they picture tigers, pandas, or whales. But the reality is, our traditional farm animals, cattle, pigs, chickens, sheep, and goats, are disappearing at an alarming rate. These are the animals that have sustained human life for thousands of years, shaping our cultures, economies, and even the landscapes that we call home. This episode isn't just about numbers, it's about what those numbers mean. Every breed that disappears takes with it a unique genetic code, a history of survival, and a role in our agricultural ecosystem that we may never be able to replace. And if we don't talk about it, who will? Let's get into it. I will say this will be of a darker tone than future episodes. I feel it's really important to start this podcast off with an honest foundation, and that is our why. This is what's motivating everything that we do. It is all the information I share here with you. There will be references in the description below with all of my sources, so you yourself can see where this is coming from, and you can do some research of your own if you like. But yeah, this is going to be more of a difficult topic. Future episodes, I hope to be more literally on the farm, talking to you about the breeds and the animals that we have. But if you're not up for some sort of troubling details about the state of our environment, you might not listen to this one, and I will not be offended. Consider that a bit of a warning. I have some shocking statistics about farm animal extinction. The first is that 1/3 of livestock breeds are currently at risk. They're on the verge of extinction. The Food and Agriculture Organization reports that up to 6 breeds disappear every month. That's not just a loss of numbers, it's a loss of resilience, biodiversity, and centuries of careful breeding. Imagine if every month we lost a distinct language forever, an entire way of communicating wiped out. That's what's happening to these breeds. Each one was developed for a reason. Some are drought resistant, others thrive in extreme cold. Some have natural immunity to diseases that threaten industrial livestock. As we say, once they're gone, they're gone. Europe has already lost half its farm breeds. In the last 120 years, Europe alone has seen half of its traditional farm breeds vanish completely. Of those that remain, nearly 43% are endangered. Think about that. If we step back in time to 1900, the farms of Europe were home to a vastly diverse array of cattle and pigs and sheep and poultry. These animals weren't just food sources, they were part of the cultural fabric. They were bred to survive in specific regions, adapt to local climates, and support sustainable farming practices. Today, nearly half of that diversity is gone. Over 1,000 breeds have gone extinct in the last century. So yeah, to put a number to it, since the early 1900s, more than 1,000 farm animal breeds have completely disappeared. Industrial farming, economic shifts, and a move toward genetic uniformity have been driving factors. As I've said, each lost breed represents an opportunity squandered. Maybe that breed held the key to future drought-resistant farming. Maybe it had disease resistance we'll wish we had if another livestock pandemic hits. Losing them isn't just nostalgic tragedy, it's a practical crisis. Industrial farming has a massive role in breed extinction. Large-scale commercial farming It's pushing heritage breeds to the brink. Today, a handful of breeds dominate the global meat, dairy, and egg industries because they grow faster and yield more product. The trade-off? They're genetically similar, which makes them vulnerable to disease outbreaks and environmental changes. More than 70% of the world's rural poor rely on livestock for survival, yet they're losing access to the diverse breeds that have sustained them for generations. I'm trying not to add any personal opinions, but we see a problem, right? Another major factor is habitat loss. We often talk about deforestation in terms of wild animal conservation, but it also threatens traditional livestock breeds. 80% of global deforestation is driven by agriculture. The expansion of monoculture crops like soy and corn for animal feed has wiped out grazing lands that once supported diverse herds. Since 1970, human activity has led to a 60% decline in global wildlife populations, according to The Guardian. That loss includes wild relatives of domesticated animals, species that hold valuable genetic traits that we may desperately need in the future. Hindsight is 2020. Small farms are the last line of defense. They really are. They're the last safe haven for many rare breeds. These farmers are often the only ones still breeding and protecting this livestock that no longer fits, quotes around fits, into the industrial farming model. But here's the problem. Small farms are disappearing too. Europe, for example, home to 25% of the world's cattle, sheep, pigs, and horses, and yet, as I think I even mentioned, 43% of European farm breeds are at risk. The decline of small farms directly correlates with breed extinction. When they vanish, so do the animals they sustain. When we lose a rare breed, we don't just lose the animal, we lose centuries of farming wisdom. The knowledge of how to breed, raise, and work with these animals vanishes with them. Many traditional breeds were shaped by generations of selective breeding passed down through families. But as fewer people enter farming and industrial methods take over, that knowledge is disappearing too. And as my mom has always said, once it's gone, it's gone. So, I know, I've been passionate and frustrated, and there's been some pretty gross, discouraging numbers here. But, there is some hope. Heritage breeds might just be the key to a more sustainable, climate-resistant food system. I know people are having these conversations. We just need to have more of them. They need to remember that many rare breeds thrive in pasture-based environments and require fewer artificial inputs like antibiotics and specialized feed. They have natural disease resistance and are better suited for small-scale sustainable farming. And despite their value, we still are seeing 60% of all livestock breeds in decline worldwide. So again, what now? What do we do? These numbers are grim, but you are not powerless. We can all help preserve farm animal biodiversity in different ways that work for us. For one thing, you can support small farms like Dalby that raise heritage breeds. We are an educational pet farm, so everybody at our farm, they are treated and loved as pets. Nobody goes to market. They're literally educational ambassadors of their breeds, there to tell you stories of their history and how we will give them a future. There are farms, not many, but there are places like that in living museums all around the country that you can try to support. I will have future episodes highlighting these because we have worked with many of them and several of our animals have come from them. So yes, supporting small farms, that is always good. Educating yourself and others about breed conservation. If you're somebody who is just realizing through even perhaps this podcast that farm breeds are in trouble, I mean, what better time than to tell somebody else you know about this? Even simply spreading the word can make a difference. It will help other people make more educated decisions as it pertains to even this next suggestion, which is when it comes to choosing your food. Be mindful of where your proteins are coming from wherever possible. Where are those eggs from? Where is that ground beef from? I mean, you have choices. They may be more expensive. If that's not in your, you know, area of abilities right now, that's okay. But just being aware goes a long way. And choosing ethically sourced food whenever possible will matter and does matter. Of course, the tried and true donating to organizations that are working to preserve rare breeds. There aren't too many of them, but they are out there. The Livestock Conservancy is a great effort for one, and they are somebody that we reference routinely as we look to expand our animal family. In the coming episodes, I will definitely highlight other places and other ways that you can help this mission. But honestly, the fact that you're listening right now, you're already part of the mission. So thank you. We're committed to keeping these breeds alive, not just in name, but in practice. It's a part of our why. It's why we farm the way we do. We are passionate about rare breeds and animals in general and nature and the environment. We believe in educating others, but not just from talking to you. We want you to come to the farm and get to know these animals, and we want you to build the connections that you were meant to have with nature. So whether you're a toddler or you're the caregiver with bringing said toddler, we want to bring you along on the journey with us. Okay. Like I said, this was largely a downer type of episode, but it is to sort of ground you in the reality that Dalby Farm lives in every day. We are examining the hard truths of our environmental status right now. It's not great, but we're going to keep these conversations going. We're going to keep asking those hard questions, and most importantly, we're going to keep taking action. So until next time, let's all keep the soul of the farm alive, no matter where you are. And please hit subscribe and join in on the conversation. Talk to me about what is bothersome to you of maybe the information I shared. And again, the references to the information and statistics that I've shared with you are shared below. I'll also have a blog post on dalbyfarm.com with this entire transcript, so you can easily reference back to what I've discussed here today. Yeah, I just appreciate that you have stuck around to hear this to the end. I feel this is a good place to start. It'll help you have context as to why we care so much. And although it seems dire and it's somewhat negative, it's also a good thing that we're able to identify the important role that these animals have and that we can advocate for them. It's not too late. There's a lot we can do, and there's a lot that we are doing right now, and I cannot wait to tell you more about it. So follow us here on YouTube and check us out at dalbyfarm.com, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care.